Hey all, Ronnie here. Today I wanted to talk to you. I wanted to tell you about the seemingly insane thing that I did to recover from binge eating and bulimia. I gave myself permission to binge. Full permission to binge anytime I wanted, as much as I wanted. And I know it sounds absolutely insane. It sounds like the opposite of what we should be doing, right? But stay with me because I want to explain to you why this worked. I also want to share with you the way that the helpful versus the unhelpful way to do it. The way that you probably think you're already doing it, but you're really not. So I started binge eating in 2008, I believe, late 2007, maybe early 2008. And it was right immediately after I had been introduced to clean eating. You know, the whole it's not a diet, it's just healthy eating thing that we're programmed with. Yeah, that's when binge eating started for me. And within 4 days of that, to be exact, I had my first binge, and it didn't, and within about 8 months, I was officially diagnosed. And so that lasted for a number of years. And I remember the first time I saw a therapist for it, I was in my first competition prep at the time. And I went to the eating disorder therapist because I needed him to make me stop binge eating so that I could get lean enough to actually compete and not be embarrassed. The first thing he said to me was, first of all, you have to stop doing the competition prep. And I said, no, I am not a quitter. You don't get me at all. And he said his reasoning for stopping the competition prep was because the diet that I was doing for the prep was creating or a big part of the cause of the binge eating. And I was indignant. I'm not dieting, I told him. Don't be so ridiculous. Diets don't work. I'm not dieting. I'm just eating healthy. I'm just eating healthy, balanced meals, several of them a day. You don't understand. And I was indignant because I thought that he was encouraging me to not eat healthy, right? Stop doing this supposedly healthy eating thing that you're doing. And so I thought that, what's this guy doing? I came here to get him to, make me be able to stay on the healthy eating plan. And here he is telling me I had to stop trying to follow it. And so, I kept going back to him because I was desperate to stop binging. And, I stayed with him for probably about a year. And I never really got very far in therapy, but he was right in that I had to stop dieting, and maybe I didn't get very far in therapy because I wasn't ready to hear that yet. I don't know. But at any rate, within about a year or so, I gave up on the therapy because it wasn't getting me anywhere. And I kept binging. But eventually the binging got so bad, and it was accompanied by depression and anxiety and all of those other, the shame and the self-loathing and all of that stuff that comes with binge eating. And so I really started working on healing it myself, figuring out how to heal it myself, that is. And, the entire time that I was binge eating and struggling with the whole weight and the food thing, I was thinking there was someplace instinctively in me that just sort of felt like if I understood why I was stuck in these eating cycles, like if I was stuck in this crap, if I could understand why, like what was driving it, that I'd be able to fix it. And so I started learning lots and practicing some of what I was learning. And so one of the things that eventually I came to this realization that trying to make myself not binge was not working. Like I recognized that no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't make myself stop doing it. And one of the things that I recognized was that the binge eating, the ways that I was using food, it was very much self-punishing. It was basically attempts to destroy my body, really, especially the ways I was doing it. Just desperately trying to destroy my body with food. And that was stemming from the way that I felt about myself and my body, primarily the shame and the self-loathing, right? So it was very much self-punishing behaviors I was engaged in when I was binging. I recognized that part of the reason that I was self-punishing from the binging was because I hated myself. And so I kind of decided, okay, so if self-hate and self-punishment is part of why I'm stuck in these cycles with food, part of why I'm binging, if that's part of what's driving it, well, I have to learn to stop hating myself and punishing myself if I want to stop binging, right? So I decided every time I would tell myself I wasn't going to binge, and then I did binge, I'd hate myself a little bit more. So I just kind of went, you know what? That's part of the problem. It doesn't make me stop binging when I tell myself I'm not going to. I always end up binging eventually anyway. So I'm just going to stop doing that and just allow myself to binge. And then it will, it'll stop that judgment afterwards if I just let myself do it. The other thing that I started noticing or started learning about was the ways that food restriction and all of the ways that we try to control ourselves with food impacts our species, not just me, but our species. Food restriction and food rules and all of those things that we try to do when we try to diet or eat healthy is a big part of what causes, or at least contributes to, food obsessions and feeling out of control around food and overeating and or full-on binging. And the therapist knew that, which is why he told me I had to stop doing that. Obviously, I wasn't ready to hear it then, but by the time it got really, really bad, I was definitely ready to hear it. So for me, permission helped to eliminate permission to eat whatever I want, whenever I want, permission to even full-on binge. It just made sense to me because I thought if two reasons why I'm binging are self-punishment and restriction, if I give myself full permission to binge, then I'm helping to eliminate self-punishment and restriction, right? So that's what I started doing. I just allowed myself to binge whenever I wanted to, and as much as I wanted to. And slowly, the binging started to stop. And, before too long, I started going, wait a second, like, I don't remember the last time I binged. It certainly didn't shift everything overnight. It was a process that took some time, but with practice, it truly did shift everything. Just permission to eat whatever I want, whenever I wanted. And the other thing that started happening was that I really started to rebuild trust in myself and in my body. And I started to be able to hear my body and respect it and not want to treat it so poorly, which was beautiful. It was a beautiful shift for me because that was never my experience in life before. So those are the two reasons why permission was so vital and helped so much in my healing binge eating and bulimia. And I want to talk a little bit, before I finish up, I want to talk a little bit about the helpful versus the unhelpful way that we do it. Now, anytime I say permission to binge, clients or anybody listening kind of goes, oh my God, I can't do that. I can't be trusted to just give myself permission to eat whatever I want or to binge or whatever else, because then I'll just be eating all the time and I'll gain all this weight and blah, 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 blah. And I get that fear. But, and a lot of times people will say, well, eating whatever I want got me into this mess. That's the problem. But it's not. It's the restriction that gets us into the mess. The restriction makes us start craving and feeling obsessed with food and all of those things until we finally just cave and give in because we're so freaking tired of trying to fight the cravings and the food obsessions, and we just don't want to think about it anymore, and we just cave. That's not permission. Because typically when that happens, what's happening is, one, we're not giving ourselves permission to eat the things. We just can't stop ourselves from eating the things, right? We just don't have the energy to try to stop it anymore. We've given up. Two, what typically happens when we do that is we tell ourselves, well, it's okay because I'm going to get back on track tomorrow. And then we judge ourselves for the fact that we've fallen off track again. And we're promising ourselves that tomorrow we're not going to binge anymore. We're going to stop eating the thing. Tomorrow is going to be a different day. That's all restriction and self-punishment. It's just the cycle repeating itself. The cycle that I was just talking about, that's that cycle in action. That's not true permission. True permission is all day, every day, from now until the end of time. I can eat whatever I want, whenever I want, even binge. I can eat to this day. If I want to binge all day, every day, I can. I've given myself permission to do that, but I don't want to. There's zero part of me anymore that wants to do that. I have become somebody that doesn't want to binge anymore because I've shifted all of the reasons that I used to binge, but primarily with permission, I've shifted these two elements: the restriction that was driving it and the self-punishment that was driving it. When I shifted those things, those mindsets, it changed me into somebody that just simply doesn't want to binge anymore. I had to learn how to, one, break those patterns and those cycles, but also become somebody that doesn't want to binge because I care about myself and I value myself enough that I don't want to do that to my body anymore. And I've learned to trust myself enough that I don't have to restrict anymore because I know that I just genuinely want to treat my body with care and respect. So I don't have to try to force myself to eat the things that I think I'm supposed to eat because I want to eat the things that help me feel my best. So that's the crazy thing I did or the first step. There were many steps with permission and after permission, but that was the first step I took that helped me learn to end binge eating and bulimia. And I hope that helps you. If it feels absolutely terrifying to you and still sounds crazy, comment below or shoot me a message or reach out to me. Let me know. I'd be happy to talk with you more about this concept of permission because truly, 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 it is life-changing. Until next time.